I'm so excited you are all here for Recipe for Change.
A decision was made that I would look too feminine. And so I was pulled off the red carpet. I was forced to change my hair, my makeup, to be more masculine. They wanted the masculine B.Scott.
This stereotype of what a lesbian looked like just didn't really fit me.
I noticed the only person that gets asked their pronouns are me amongst like my other femme-presenting friends, which is really interesting. I'm like, why didn't you ask them, you know?
Your business partner is married to your ex-husband, and now you guys are all friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi, Hayley. How are you?
Yeah.
Great to meet you.
Thank you so much for being here, Chef, for
I'm
this
thrilled to be here.
such a special episode for Recipe for Change and for creating this extraordinary culinary experience. What do you have in store
Thank you.
for us?
I hope it's extraordinary.
Oh, it smells extraordinary. I'm so excited.
Good. Well, we're going to start off with, like, of course, guacamole and chips and
Yes,
salsa. You
of
have
course,
to.
we have to.
Exactly. I mean, we're in California. So I'm cooking the chicken. I don't want to cook
Looks
too quick,
amazing.
so don't let it burn, okay?
Wow,
Just,
okay. Well, don't put me in charge of that. It'll burn.
Okay. And then I thought I would do a vegetable ceviche. Here, we've got roasted beets,
Oh my gosh.
jicama, cucumbers, tomatoes, cilantro. And then we're doing it with a sauce that this is really yummy. This is
Wow.
ají amarillo, or this really Peruvian chili that's just wonderful. It's got a very floury, a little bit of spice, but not much. It's like one of my favorite chilies.
I love that.
Look, we're gonna put all that in the bowl. Look at all that.
Oh my gosh.
My favorite part are all the colors.
Food is like my #1 passion in life. I don't cook, but I consume.
I love that, yeah.
So
Well,
I'm a consumer.
I cook and I consume.
Great.
Both. Who are we cooking for anyways?
You know, that's
Oh, we thought I was just cooking for you.
No, I would have loved that. Next time.
Okay.
I invited the most amazing group of people. If we're talking LGBTQIA+ rights, we've got Rochelle Stoss, we've got Mel Wright, we have Jesse Sullivan and B.Scott,
Yeah.
myself and yourself.
Love that. Love
It's a
that.
match made in heaven. I'm gonna leave you to this. I can't wait for the meal tonight and our discussion.
Okay, that's
All right,
perfect.
see you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hi. Great to meet you.
I can't wait to taste everything.
Hi.
So good.
Hi,
So nice to meet you. Oh,
Hi, I'm Jesse.
so beautiful.
love
see you.
Yes, I do.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Good to see you.
This is amazing.
I'm so excited you are all here for Recipe for Change.
Thank you for having us.
Thrilled, and I was so excited to be cooking this afternoon, and I'm so shocked I'm sitting and eating.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
I
just
love
in
this.
the kitchen. That's it. So tonight I know we're gonna have great discussions. I have these scrolls here that's gonna sort of address questions about the LGBTQIA issues, and it's, I think, something very important for all of us, so we're each gonna take one. And I don't know what's inside, but we'll
Wow,
see.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Mystery.
There you go.
Let's see.
All right. We're all passing it
I'm
around.
gonna sit here.
Yes.
Yay.
I go. Okay, we should cheers.
Yes.
Beautiful dinner.
Cheers to
Thanks.
everyone here.
Hard to reach.
All right, Susan, what are we
Here's
eating here?
So in front here, you have guacamole, tomatillo salsa, crudité, and chips. And then this is a vegetable ceviche here on a tostada with a little bit of golden beets, jicama, ají amarillo, ginger, lime, pickled onions, and avocado.
Amazing.
Bon appetit! Yes.
Looks so good.
Provecho.
Yum.
Okay, everyone, you have to eat the dobladitos. These are these really yummy tacos. They have 3 Mexican cheeses in there: kale, corn, mushrooms, barbecued potato chips, and
Really good.
a
Delicious.
chipotle aioli.
Delicious.
Delicious.
So good.
Feed me.
Oh my God.
Okay. What kind of reactions did you receive when coming out to people? Anyone want to start that one off?
Why don't you start?
I'll start for sure. I have a lot to say about this actually because I came out twice. So I came out as lesbian first when I was really young. I had just had my kid at that time. My kid was like a baby, and I came out as lesbian. And honestly, it was a pretty easy reaction. Most people didn't really have a huge reaction to it. My parents did think it was a phase, but they ultimately accepted my girlfriends, and it wasn't that hard. But coming out as trans 4 years ago was a complete different story. Obviously, this was a time where America was very Trump forward, I'll call it. And the rhetoric that was being spread was probably at its worst about trans and queer people. And the reaction I had from people was just so different than coming out as gay, and I lost a lot of family members. I lost a lot of people from the LGBT community, my lesbian friends at the time. I had such a different experience, and it was so shocking to me because I didn't expect that.
It's heartbreaking that friends of yours that were lesbians were turned against you. That just seems unbelievable to me.
I think there's a lot of infighting that happens within the community,
Sounds very familiar.
unfortunately.
Yes.
I had no idea that was gonna happen, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'll end what I said on a positive note. It did filter out who really loves me and who's a real friend.
Right.
And now the people that are in my life are my core people that will be in my life forever.
You found your true community.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, like, for me, family has always been what I had to overcome. I remember being a child in bed, and my mother would come to my room almost nightly and sit at the edge of my bed and read to me about Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Just to
This is my mother.
Right.
And so anytime that, people are now known as B.Scott and they see me being fabulous and they imagine what type of life I live, that's also a part of my life.
yeah, for
In
sure.
the back of me, that doubt, or anytime I feel like an insecurity, it's first started in a lot of ways with her at the edge of my bed. And it was how I was introduced to God,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
and which
Same,
is such a
honestly.
powerful force in my life, but it was her version of God to her. And so thank God, I tell her that all the time. I was like, that is your relationship with God. I have my own, and thank God I have my own relationship. Because if it was you, I would already been damned.
Yeah.
I'm damned.
I was just saying, like, you're constantly coming out because from my experience and what I know is like you're coming out to yourself over and over and over again, and you're trying to convince yourself that you love yourself and you love who you are. And then on top of that, you're coming out to others. I'm hopeful in younger generations that we're able to create space for them to be themselves, and at an earlier age of like, listen, whoever you are is okay. Growing up for me, it's like I wanted to be this pop star, but I was like, I can't because I'm a lesbian. And it was like, but I want to be this, and I was like, but I can't because I'm half Asian. And it was like all of these like no's. And so like, especially everyone at this table, the more we're able to share our authentic selves, we're able to create pathways of truth and like freedom and space for people to dream that there is a space for them to not only exist but to thrive.
And to feel that earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We deserve to feel that.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I knew at age 5 that I love women. Like that is
Yeah.
like a real thing.
I was such a tomboy as a kid. I was such a tomboy. I was, my nickname was Sam, played football and played baseball. And it's interesting because, I mean, I'm a lot older than you guys, but I had, no idea whatsoever. And I had been with a man, and we actually got married. Then I ended up, I was working in the restaurant world, and I ended up with a woman that was there that I had the biggest crush on. It was like, this is like, I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, where, no one talked about anything from the LGBT world. Nobody did. So when I realized that I had like fallen in love with this woman, I was so excited to tell my parents. And when they called me like 3 days later, because they hadn't heard from me, called me and I said, I'm so in love. I really, my mother freaked out. My dad didn't speak to me for a year.
Oh, wow.
And then I was adamant. I had, at that point, then moved out to LA. Every Pride event, everything, I'd call them afterwards and leave a message saying, this was so amazing. You should I just kept putting it in their face.
I remember school shopping with my mom being such a traumatic experience. She'd be like, Mel, do you feel like you want to be a boy? And I'm like, no way, I don't want to be a boy. Like, what are you talking about? I just like this clothes. So it was difficult, you know? It was really, really hard. Like every year, school shopping was awful.
I had the exact same experience, and
Yeah.
I was a fight with my mom every time, and she would always settle, well, you have to at least wear girl clothes on Sunday.
Right.
Wow.
So that was like our compromise, but oh, it was such a struggle. I hated it.
I think I've found grace for them. My parents are immigrants, and they're older, and I think coming to this country, they have to like appease and fit in the way that they need to. I do think it was rooted in safety, whether it was damaging or not, and I think they just wanted to keep their little girl safe. And it's just, I don't know, it's difficult. It's hard. Like I didn't get to tell my parents like, hey, here's how I'm feeling. Here's this thing, right?
You were outed?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
But my father walked in on me, you know, exploring my sexuality in high
Your
school
dad walked in. No.
with another girl at the time. So that was rough.
It's so bad no matter
I know, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Chills
That's
up my
true.
spine.
Yeah.
oh my God,
And
what
also,
did
like,
he do?
you know, like I love them so much. It did not go well. I laugh about it today,
Yeah.
but at
it
the
was
time,
intense.
it was intense. You know, you're figuring yourself out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we didn't have talks about that. The talks that I had were around guys, and here's what
Yeah.
guys think. And they don't even think about queerness. They don't even speak to it. They're
Right.
just like, this is what guys want. Be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like,
I'm
you're not
"You guys-
helping me out.
You're barking up the wrong tree, Dad. Like, that's not what you're
You're like,
worried
but what do
about.
girls do?
Be ready.
You know, so.
My mother said she always knew. So if you always knew,
Why don't you
Yeah.
have a
that means I
conversation?
always was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came out much later in life, but I have to say this dinner is going to help my imposter syndrome because I didn't grow up feeling like I was gay, and I really lived a whole life feeling straight for so long. And it really wasn't until, you know, I was literally 40 years old and I meet this person that I didn't know but was to change my entire life. I feel like having to kind of rush through the process of, I guess, digesting. There's no changing this. I'm in love with this person, and I film on a reality show, Selling Sunset, and the timeline was the reunion was coming up, and we just got caught holding hands. The pictures went out. So I knew it was gonna be asked. And so there were a few ways I could handle it. I could either face it head on and kind of take charge of it, but obviously it was pushing me there. It's not as if I was like, okay, this is how I wanna tell everything. And so obviously now, I mean, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. My partner is, I feel so grateful for them every single day of my life.
They're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a divorced person. You know, I was married to a man, and it's shocking how many people have lived the same life as me. So I feel like representing a different space.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a space that matters.
Yeah.
Because when I first came out, just came to LA in 2005, it was androgynous, is what I call myself.
Yeah.
And then it progressed to gender nonconforming. And then by the time that happened to me, I hadn't really thought about it. I was just being myself. And it was before all the inclusion you see today.
Right.
So, and now, you know, trans non-binary fits the best, you know, how else would I describe myself?
Yeah.
But people were saying to me, unless I had gender affirmation surgery, I wasn't a part of the trans community. It's so important that people understand the complexities of it all.
Yeah.
Gender identity is one component of it, and how you express is another. And so you can express, there's so many variations of how you can express. And I am happy I made it to the point now where, you know, there is more inclusion. And so I can hold space and not feel like I don't really belong. So that's why, like, what you were saying related to me, because I went through that. I'm like, well, B.Scott's not really trans. I don't think anybody would sign up for any of this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if it wasn't who I am intrinsically, why would I make my life harder?
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. Okay, should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It is so good, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my
fit is
goodness.
delicious.
What are some misconceptions or stereotypes about the LGBTQIA plus community that you frequently encounter, and how do they affect you and those around you? Personally, I hear that a lot. When you present feminine as a woman, I feel like a lot of times people just really don't think you're gay, or they really want to see you with the man. That's one of the biggest stereotypes. I mean, what does gay look like? It's so ridiculous.
I think with the pronoun conversation, being politically correct and asking people their pronouns, which is really nice to do, right? But I noticed the only person that gets asked their pronouns are me amongst like my other femme presenting friends, which is really interesting. I'm like, why didn't you ask them? You know, why would you only ask me? Yes, it's inclusive. I understand that, but like, let's just ask everyone.
And it's also crazy how we can get so cliquey in our own like community. It's very much so you have to fit in these boxes.
Yeah.
And I just like, I'm so grateful to be one of the people who like, actually you don't. I would like to have a word. And you know, gender expression can odulate. It can change. Like one day you could see me like this and the next day you could maybe see me like, you know what I mean? Like it just depends on how I feel. And it's gender identity relates to how I feel on the inside. My expression is what if I choose to. If I choose to express, that's my choice. And that's why I feel like it's just important for all of us to bring what we bring to the table, because people are looking at us. And people are being encouraged by however we choose to be in this world.
Yeah, I agree.
I think for me, this stereotype of what a lesbian looked like just didn't really fit me. And so when I started directing these music videos and doing my music, I just think I was able to just reclaim the word lesbian, because I think the stereotype of what lesbian means growing up felt very negative for me. It was like, oh, you're a lesbian. With like content and like film and television and music, it was like if two women are kissing, it's overly sexualized. And like I would create a music video and they'd be like, oh, that's risque. Like, I hate that word. It'd be like, this is too risque. And I'm like, what's risque about two women being in love and kissing? And that was like a big fight for me in the music industry, is like creating content where it's like, hey, this is not risque. This is beautiful. This is love. And then this is what this looks like for the lesbian community. And so I think for me, that's been like my big fight in the stereotypes of the lesbian world, trying to change the narrative of how the world views lesbians in such a male gaze, especially with the content that is being made.
Something me and my kid always say is almost everything can be rooted back to misogyny. And like a lot of what you're saying is like, yeah, there's homophobia in that, but if you really dissect it, it's misogynistic. Because of course, if two girls kiss, that's too risque. But if it was a guy and a girl, of course, well, a guy likes a girl, and that makes sense. So that's not
I couldn't
too
do the
risque.
same thing. It's like I would do it and they'd be like, oh, you're gonna do another video with you and another girl? Like, what else do you have to say? And it's like, that's not changing.
Right.
I'm sorry, but like,
That's who I am.
that's just who I am.
I very seldom have put myself in a position where I make someone else uncomfortable. They're the ones that are. So that's why it's just like trans people are being killed every day. And that is very important to me. And I think about that for myself and what could have happened to me years ago. And that's why I had to get away from my town, because I think about my life. I'm like, wow, I made it to my age that I am. It's like, wow, like I could have easily ended up in a ditch.
Right.
I think
Once
about
I
the same
realized
way.
that, I was like, I have to leave these people, not only because they are mean to me, but they also could kill me.
Right.
And it would never have been a B.Scott. I would have been just like so many of my community that never made it.
Exactly.
I know this isn't a political conversation particularly, but this is why I feel it's so important that we get this message out there, that people vote, that young kids vote, that we just don't end in a situation where we have even worse situations than we have now. And there's no question, if we change leadership again back to what we had, I
goodness.
fear for.
I'm out of here.
I know.
I think a lot of people don't realize this, like, for a trans person, but like I live my life every single day worrying for my life, especially as someone who has a platform that people know who I am. I go into a boy's bathroom, I'm scared someone's gonna follow me in or notice who I am and wanna hurt me. If I'm in a barber's chair, I'm scared they're gonna find that out and they're gonna wanna hurt me and I'm in their chair. It's on my mind all day, every day. And I'll bring up my kid a lot throughout this dinner because they're the most brilliant person I know. They're 15 and they blow my mind. And last night they said, we cannot have this live and let live anymore. We can't have you're in your house and you disagree with who I am, but you're in your house, I'm in mine. They said, we have to start having the conversations, even if they're tough and even if they're scary, or nothing's ever gonna change.
Yeah. Next course, we have crispy leg and thigh chicken and crispy cauliflower with salsa verde, which is with hoja santa and parsley and basil, and it's on a bed of quinoa with roasted rutabaga and mushrooms, and then pickled tomatoes on the top.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking about.
Amazing.
Let's go.
Let's do
Thank
this.
you.
Yum.
Okay. My question is, have there been instances when you felt a strong sense of belonging or alienated from the LGBTQIA+ community?
I had talked about a situation that happened in 2013 that wasn't so good. A decision was made that I would look too feminine. And so I was pulled off the red carpet. I was forced to change my hair, my makeup, and what I was wearing to be more masculine. They wanted the masculine B.Scott. And that forced me to then have to define myself for the first time. But a full circle moment was I also, and I think it was 2021, I hosted and executive produced my own television show.
Okay.
So it shows that you can take a situation that may not initially started so good and change the narrative.
Definitely.
And I felt the love. I felt appreciated. The first episode of the show, I was crying and I couldn't stop crying because I was like, I actually am here. I made it to the inclusion that I helped pave the way for.
Right.
All those years ago when I first started and I was getting called all type of names, everything but a child of God, and get snatched off stages, I'm now here being the first trans non-binary person to host and executive produce a show on a Black network.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
And-
amazing.
And it was just, it's like, okay, but I made it.
Yeah.
And
did
we
that.
have made it.
You unfortunately have to be that pioneer because no one else has done it for
But
us.
so many people don't have the courage to do it. So
Yeah.
many people don't. And I just think if you're able to do that.
Or the
it's-
opportunity,
Or,
too.
or the opportunity.
That's
for
a big
sure.
thing. It's just how do you even get the opportunity? So if you get it, you have to
Right,
just
you
do
have
it.
to have a voice. You know,
It's also your
you really do.
existence, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're called to do something, you have to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost can't exist otherwise.
I deal with this
So-
all the time. We were just in Mexico for my fiance's birthday, and for some reason, the hate online was like really getting to me, and I know everyone can probably relate to this. And I was just sitting next to the pool, and I was like, I honestly like don't know if I can keep doing this. Like some days, I feel like it's just too much.
Take a
Like
sip, yeah.
I don't want to be called the cancer of society anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to have death threats. I don't want to wake up and open my phone to that anymore. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And then exactly what you were saying, then it's like the 12-year-old that reaches out to me and is like, I'm alive because you showed me like I can have a family one day.
How do you navigate the intersectionality of your LGBTQIA+ identity with other aspects of your identity, such as race, ethnicity, religion, ability, etc.?
I mean, to be honest, I have a hard time.
Yeah.
I've spent this life where I just don't quite fit into anything.
Yeah.
Being like, you know, multi-ethnicities and being trans non-binary and I just feel a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
And I oftentimes see things from a different perspective than a person that belongs to one particular group would. Even when one of my groups that I belong to are not living up to the inclusiveness that I would want them to have, I just try to understand it because I have this duality of things that allows me to have a different perspective.
I can relate to not belonging in one box, right? Like I grew up half Japanese and half white, and I think for me, because I knew I was gay since I was 5, I didn't even really acknowledge being biracial and being other. And so I think for me growing up, the struggle was obviously hiding my queerness, but then once I was able to get over that hurdle, and I also was acting, so it was like, I was never Asian enough, I was never white enough, and I grew up in a predominantly white community. And so there were a couple of Asian Americans at my school, and we have very different upbringings with identity. And so I think for me, they all kind of work hand in hand of just feeling like I'm not enough, and where's my community?
I was always the only. I've always been the other and the only. I think I'm figuring it out now, but oftentimes I've wondered if the thing that people love about me is digestibility, right?
Like palatable.
Yeah. So I'm figuring that out, as we speak
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, do you actually really like me? Because I have friends that look like me, and some of them might not have been invited to some of these tables or some of these spaces, and why not? You know?
So this is a double chocolate espresso really rich, yummy dessert, and we top it with a homemade creme fraiche sour cream. So it has sort of sour and sweetness.
I am so excited.
Ready, set, go.
Thank you so much.
Have you noticed any societal shifts or policy changes that have positively or negatively impacted the LGBTQIA community?
Oh, Jesus.
I will say this, the younger generations give me so much hope.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
They do not have the baggage that I have. And it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I do believe the country is getting more liberal, getting more inclusive, getting browner, you know what I mean? Like more color. Like I think it's just, it is happening, but I do believe the youth, they're giving me hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're not hung up on it. Like you tell them something, like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Okay, moving
And they're
on.
Yeah,
courageous.
that is,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's an incredible thing. I mean, this
They
is,
understand me better than I understand myself.
Yeah.
I was like, you got it.
They're like, let me tell you about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
That's how my kid is. They understand all of this so much better than most adults. Even though there's a lot going on with the hate, there's so much progress happening. I think what's really unique about our time is that it's happening simultaneously. I think that's what's different. I'm seeing so much progress happen, and I'm seeing like the Gen Zs are like literally giving me hope for the world, but simultaneously the hate is getting so intense and so loud and so literally dangerous for people like us. And I think that the next generation is what's really going to change things.
but think about the difference, like when I think about my parents or your parents, think about you being a parent. It's such a different message that your kids will just take on. I mean, I know my business partner's straight, married to my ex-husband, and we've been business partners for 40 plus years, and her kids, most of the weddings they've been to have been within our community. So these kids, they're growing up, this is part of their
They have
normal
a different
life.
reality.
Yeah.
So their reality is
It's
so
very
different.
different.
It's
Yeah.
so
And I'm so happy for
fluid.
that.
That's wonderful.
That took me for a ride. Your business partner is married to your ex-husband, and now you guys are all friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
I introduced her. She was like dating the weirdest guys ever. And I said, you should meet my ex.
Wow.
And probably 4 years later, Mary Sue and I started working together with our first restaurant. And I had called him, you've got to come out, we're opening a big restaurant.
Wow.
He came out, they fell in love. I'm the
Wow.
godmother to their kid.
Cupid.
Oh my goodness.
And
That is
so
beautiful.
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a kid with my ex. I was trying to be so straight in high school that I fully got pregnant and had a kid, and this man has been in my life now for 18 years.
Fabulous.
We're best friends. He's like a brother to me. We raised our kid together. We had, like you're saying in the beginning, it wasn't that great. We fought all the time, and now we're just best friends.
Yeah.
And it honestly ended up being amazing and crazy, crazy journey, but we're raising a kid together, you know?
That's so nice that you have that relationship.
Yeah.
Also for Arlo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was always for Arlo in the end.
Yeah.
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 That's beautiful.
I've been on the board of the Los Angeles LGBT Center for 16, 17 years now. And when I see the youth that come every day through the programs there, and I see the growth that happens and the hope. And many are kids that have been kicked out of their families and have a place where they're able to feel accepted and who they are and get help and support. And we've started this culinary program with seniors and youth. And to see youth that don't have parent role models and seniors that don't have kids who accept, and it's such an amazing thing. I just think the youth are so hopeful, and when there's a safe place and a safe community, it's really
Possibilities are
quite-
endless.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
The LGBT Center gave me my first tea shot, so I love that place. I have a
love
lot of
the
great
LGBT
memories
Center.
there, and
It's really
yeah, it's an amazing place.
these tiles. Look how fabulous they are.
Fabulous.
Match my outfit.
So I think if we all wrote on one tile just a message to ourselves and just something that's important to ourselves, and on the other tile, a message that we would want to give to the generations that are coming up. And then these are gonna all go back to the Los Angeles LGBT Center in the youth,
So sweet.
which is
I
so
love
amazing.
that.
It's really cool and very inspiring.
I will grab a pen.
Pass
and
the
sit
mine
down.
tongs.
Looking toward the future, can you leave the next generation with a piece of advice?
The first thing that comes to my head, but also I was thinking about my child. What I was gonna say is that you deserve all things magic. It's the first thing that came to my mind. And I think like just encouraging the youth that possibilities are endless and that hope is real for our community and that we are capable of navigating whatever comes our way.
You're so good. Like, I was like, do I need to write this down? Okay. I'm a living testament that it does get better.
Yeah.
It really does. It was a time where I was like, I wasn't sure. I mean, I don't like to go either way.
Yeah.
But it does get better. And we all a testament to that. All of our stories tonight. It's been such a beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
I'm emotional, but I'm kind of keeping it down because I think it's just like, you know, this also just shows that so many people from different backgrounds and different situations and identities and everything in between can come together, and there's so much commonality.
And even just that all these beautiful people behind the cameras and back there, that they even put this on for us so that it's out there. I mean, it's like that shows right there.
Yeah. I think what I've witnessed with all of you is you show up exactly as who you are. I've been a person that has watched you all in your journeys, and then now I'm here, and I'm like, oh, all of these people, what we share in common is we've all always shown up as who we are.
Yeah.
Very present in the moment, and we can't be anybody else. We can only be who we are, and that's really courageous. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you guys, this has been incredible. Thank you all for coming. I think we should all stay connected. You guys should all come to my restaurant. We should make sure we have dinner together.
I would love
That
that.
would be really
And we
fun.
should come to the center.
And we should come to the center for sure. I'd love to take you all on a tour of the center.
So happy we're all able to hang out tonight
I know.
and just stay connected and that you're not alone. And we have
Each
at least
other.
the people at this table. We have each other.
Yeah.
And
And we
being
can keep
fun.
doing this.
Being
Yes.
fun and being authentic.
And we are worthy.
We are worthy.
And this is a representation of the world. This really is. We are. People think that we're not. They try to tell everyone we're not, but this is
Yeah.
this is
what
people.
we
This
look
is a
like.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last cheers.
Cheers.